Today on the big story in Parliament, Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee calls on Workers Party MPs to recuse themselves from Aljunied-Hougang Town Council financial matters. It's day one of the e-scooter ban. What's the ground sentiment like among riders and pedestrians? Find out more. Hello and welcome to the big story where we discuss the top news of today and explain why it matters. I'm Haryanto Diman coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee has called on Workers Party MPs Sylvia Lim and Lau Tia Kiang to recuse themselves from all financial matters at the Aljunied-Hougang Town Council. In Parliament today, he also asked the WP about how it plans to put its own house in order.
Almost 4 weeks have passed since the court judgment. The Workers' Party has been totally silent on this matter. So has AHTC. This is why I have to ask in Parliament, what does the current chairman of AHTC, Mr. Faisal Manap, intend to do? At the minimum, will he apologize to residents of Aljunied and Hougang for letting them down? An apology will be the first step, a belated recognition that they had let residents down and an intention to put things right. Will they at long last be conducting their own investigations, or will they continue to dodge and deny? Because integrity is of the utmost importance in elected officials. Because if we cannot trust a politician to tell the truth, we cannot trust him to safeguard public funds, to put the public interest ahead of personal gain, or to make decisions in the best interest of Singapore and Singaporeans.
To discuss more on this, we have news editor Zakir Hussain. Welcome, Zakir. For a start, if you could elaborate on DPM's, what is DPM calling for?
I think he wanted to hold the WP to account. And I think he highlighted the fact that for the past 8 years since the WP won Aljunied GRC, it has refused to be transparent about its dealings at the Town Council. And I think, as you mentioned earlier, in calling for a tender, the High Court judgment earlier this month, last month, found that it was a deliberate, they had deliberately set it up such that they didn't have to call for a tender. And I think today's sitting saw DPM kind of pointedly ask current Town Council Chairman Faisal Manap whether he would at least apologize to the residents of Aljunied GRC and Hougang for letting them down. And I think he also asked Mr. Faisal if he would remove Ms. Sylvia Lim from her post as Town Council Vice Chairman, among other things.
And has WP responded? If so, how did they respond?
Yeah. So I think the debate's still ongoing in Parliament, but WP Chairman Sylvia Lim basically said the motion is premature because the matter had yet to go up to the Court of Appeal. There's 1 month from the date of the High Court ruling to file an appeal, and the deadline is, I believe, 11th November, Monday. And she told MPs, well, maybe the PAP government is clearly excited about certain findings in the judgment, over actions the Workers Party MPs took. But because the deadline is next Monday, WP has been studying the judgment with the lawyers, and the party feels this motion and the whole discussion is a bit premature. Yeah. DPM Heng, however, and SMS Edwin Tong also joined him later, reiterated that there are matters of public interest involved because the sums involved have to do with millions in public monies.
Yeah. And how do you reckon, and I think this question will be a lot on people's head, how do you think this will play out in the coming general election?
I think the point of this motion, and it's similar to one that the PAP MPs also filed about 4 years ago when the Auditor General did a special audit of the Town Council and found severe lapses. The point really is to drive home to Singaporeans who might be undecided about who they want to support, is that there are some concerns over the WP MPs and their integrity. This is not to deny that there are, that the WP has sort of done some good stuff in the past few years. I think DPM himself acknowledged that Mr. Lau was someone he had high regard for. And in fact, when he ran Hougang Town Council, there were no issues.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not no issues, but these issues weren't there. And I think they wanted to make the point that in handling of this saga, the WP MPs had misled the public, they had misled Parliament, and to put it more bluntly, they had let their friends who they awarded the tender to make money at the public's expense.
Right.
And I think both DPM and Senior Minister of State Edwin Tong spelled out that this is really an issue for a party that has always taken allegations of dishonesty, of integrity and over character quite seriously. And if, their point is an opposition has to hold itself to the same high standards that they expect of the PAP government. And I think the troubles at the Town Council did affect the WP's vote share in the last election. No doubt there was an upswing, after the SG50 celebrations and so on. But the WP won Aljunied GRC by a whisker of under 2 percentage points, which meant, it had to go to a recount and all. And I think even today, observers think it'll be quite tough for the WP to lose that GRC and for the PAP team to win it back after, not holding on to it for 2 elections. It seems quite clear that the PAP wants to, put up a tough fight for the WP again. Yeah. And I think there are other advantages to doing so, even though it might be an uphill battle to win back Aljunied. Yeah. Just having this at the back of, at the back of the WP's campaign to hold on to the GRC could tie it down, so their ability to put up a tough challenge in other GRCs could be affected as well.
All right, thank you, Zak, for coming to the show to really tell us about the developments to this saga. And of course, the story, as you mentioned, is still unfolding. For more on this, you can visit our website at straitstimes.com. Once again, thank you so much, Zak.
Thanks.
Now, on to our next segment. It's the first day of the e-scooter ban, and reactions on the ground have been mixed. Since the ban was announced in Parliament on Tuesday, yesterday in fact, some people whom ST spoke to have welcomed the ban, but riders have expressed their unhappiness, especially those who use e-scooters for work, now mainly food delivery riders. Food delivery provider GrabFood has told customers to be prepared for longer waits and having their orders cancelled. More than a third of its delivery riders rely on e-scooters to carry out their jobs. Meanwhile, Deliveroo will stop working with errand riders who continue to use e-scooters on footpaths. Deliveroo said there's minimal impact as PMDs and power-assisted bicycles are used by about 5% of their fleet of 6,000 riders. There are about 7,000 food delivery riders in Singapore who use e-scooters, the majority believed to be working for Grab. And of course, the Straits Times team took to the streets to find out if e-scooter riders are still plying the footpath and what riders think.
Usually, I've seen a lot of PMD riding around this hour, but for today, I see fewer PMD because of this kind of ban.
Really very angry. We also never do anything wrong. It's not everyone is in the fault.
Yeah, the LTAs have been all around the area. I mean, traffic junctions, they have been standing there telling us to push the scooter.
Actually, all of the people that I've been delivered to, they ask me to stop riding. They say cannot this, they cannot that.
It's not really convenient for us to push all the way. Sometimes we have to carry the food. It's not say that it's very light. It's very heavy.
Some place to have footpath and PCN. We all can't cut through.
Not all riders are really anyhow riding or speed, all these kind of things. You all want to catch, you catch those that is really speeding and then cause problem. Some of us, our leg injured, all this kind of thing, or got injury, that's why you cannot get a normal job. And then you are destroying our rice bowl.
I believe that footpath is meant for walking and stuff like that. But the thing is, for people I ask, working adults who need to support a family, they should come to a consensus maybe a special license for the PMD or food deliveries. We only want to make a living. So I think this rule is a bit too harsh for the PMD riders. It's really an overnight queue.
Now we have journalist To Ting Wei, who was part of the team, with us right here to tell us more. Welcome, Ting Wei. Now, Ting Wei, you followed LTA officers on the streets as they gave verbal warnings to errant riders. How is the situation on the ground? Are there still e-scooter riders on the footpath?
Okay, so just to clarify first, we didn't really follow LTA officers because they were just doing their jobs, then we were just observing them from a distance because we can't really affect them doing their jobs.
Right.
But in terms of the situation on the ground, I would say it was in a way surprisingly quiet. Granted, it was raining this morning, but we were at the Jurong East area in front of Keat from 10 to 12. So during that period, we only spotted one e-scooter rider who was riding out on the footpath. So usually the area, I think it has been previously identified as a hotspot where potential offences involving e-scooters and maybe electric bikes takes place. That's why they deployed their officers there. But this morning it was really quite quiet. So even though the officers, there were several of them, they had flyers to tell people like, these are the new areas that you can't go to and such. They could only hand it out to one e-scooter user. So after that we went to during lunchtime we went to another place where the food delivery riders will park their motorbikes or their e-scooters while waiting to pick up orders. So there I think we spotted about, maybe 5 or 6 e-scooter users during that period. And in terms of the mood, obviously they are upset because it's like their jobs have been affected quite a lot. It's like for us, if they take away our computer and ask us to work on our mobile phone, I guess it's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
So all of them were saying that it's too sudden because it's just less than 24-hour notice and then the ban kicks in, and they're worried about what will happen after, say, when the authorities start enforcing it strictly from January.
Yeah, and on that matter, one of the worst hit by the ban, of course, would be the food delivery riders, like you mentioned. Many delivery riders use e-scooters as their main form of transport. People could potentially lose their source of income. Now, how are the food delivery companies coping with this new rule?
So we have 3 food delivery companies here, the 3 major ones, Foodpanda, GrabFood and Deliveroo. So in terms of Foodpanda, it has been a bit of radio silence on the media front so far, but I know that they are reaching out to their food delivery riders to have a survey to ask them like how will they cope with this new ban, and then like what vehicles will they switch to, how will they prefer Foodpanda can help them cope. In terms of GrabFood, it's the only one that has come out to say that users who are like end users, meaning you and me when we order food, will be affected. Because for them, more than one third of their rider fleet is made out of e-scooter riders, and I think it's quite a significant amount, in the thousands. So probably majority of the 7,000 e-scooter food delivery riders that Dr. Lam mentioned in Parliament yesterday. So they have already said that for us users, we might have to be prepared for longer waiting time and increased cancellation rates, because these e-scooter users, they are unable to fulfill as many orders, maybe using their feet, or they have just stopped working. So the last one for Deliveroo, they say there won't be much impact on their customers because only about 5% of their 6,000 riders use e-scooters and also electric bikes for their jobs. So basically, they have come out to say that for the remaining e-scooter users, if they are caught flouting rules, meaning continuing to ride on footpaths from today, they will stop working with these riders.
Yeah. And beyond the e-scooter ban thing, where experts say that it's more crucial to build a viable walkway network for first and last mile commuters. If you could elaborate on that.
So I guess the main issue now, and that's why we have the ban and all the previous issues before, is that it seems that Singapore's infrastructure currently is not able to support efficient path sharing. So meaning that for me as a pedestrian, I'm not able to share paths with e-scooter users in a way that's completely safe. Because maybe due to various restrictions, because due to space restrictions, our paths aren't that wide, and in terms of separation of the cycling paths and footpaths, it's not so clear yet. I mean, if you look at it, sometimes you can get the idea, but some people might not be able to tell when is the clear distinction, because it's quite often you see people just walking onto cycling paths even though they have their own sort of footpaths beside it. And in terms of the cycling network in Singapore, it's only 440 km long at the moment, about that. They have said that they will increase it to triple it by 2030. But when you look at it in the context of the footpaths in Singapore, which is 5,500 km, it's still a tiny fraction even after tripling it. So looking at it, I think when the experts talk about this, they are talking about how we need to build more paths, we need to make the separation of the paths clearer and make it wider.
Now let's focus back on the ban. Of course, it has taken effect starting today, and we've seen a spike on e-scooter listings being sold on Carousel yesterday and today. Now, as a reminder again, if you could share with us, how can people dispose of their non-compliant e-scooters?
So LTA launched this early disposal incentive scheme back around late September. So how it works is that basically the incentives are for people who have registered their e-scooters. So how it works is you go onto this website set up by LTA, and I think it's like you log in using your SingPass, and then after that you submit an application to dispose of your e-scooter. Right. So there are around 200, now more than 200, because LTA just increased the number of disposal points around Singapore. So these disposal points, they are not permanent. So they will be at this location, maybe like in Woodlands for one day, and then next day they'll be in a different part of Woodlands. So people who want to dispose their e-scooters can go look at the LTA's website for more information about this. So those who dispose their registered e-scooters before end of this year, they will get a $100 incentive, right, which is quite good considering the current situation. And those who do have scooters that are not registered, they can still dispose of their e-scooters because, you don't want to keep a fire hazard at home. Yeah. But then you just won't get the $100. So the most important thing one can do now is not to just leave the e-scooter at home or throw it at their boy there, because at the end of the day, it's still a fire hazard in a way. Right. So best to dispose of it properly.
Right. So there you have it. Proper disposal is certainly very important, right? Tingwei. Once again, thank you so much, Tingwei, for coming onto the show to share with us more on the day one of the e-scooter ban. Now we see a lot of comments from all our netizens here commenting on our Facebook post. Of course, to keep abreast of the updates on this ban, you can visit our website at straitstimes.com. Now on to our news segment, What's Trending, where my colleague Dylan will take us through the top trending stories for today. Over to you, Dylan.
Thanks, Haryanto. It's time to talk trending on What's Trending. This is Miss Rachel Lim, and what you see are multiple facial fractures she sustained in 2017. Her then boyfriend, a doctor, allegedly flew into a rage and assaulted her after she refused to have sex with him. Clarence Teo allegedly punched her face repeatedly and hit her head against the wall. According to a police officer, her face was badly bruised beyond recognition. The trial continues. Next, SPCA is investigating the case of a Singaporean man who filmed himself hitting his dog with a helmet and setting its fur on fire. Preliminary investigation suggests that the dog is not based in Singapore but in Thailand. The man has since posted a video of the Pomeranian playing happily with him, as well as a video apology on Facebook.
Today I'm making this video to apologize for what I've done. I'm sorry for what I've done. I promise this will be the first and the last time. I do wrong, I own up, because I'm a man. I hope everybody can give me a second chance. I promise no more next time. Sorry guys.
Well, would you accept that apology? Next up, Malaysian fugitive businessman Joe Low is believed to be using multiple passports to crisscross the globe. It is believed that he uses Mediterranean and Caribbean island nation passports for visa-free travel to over 170 countries globally. That's all we have for What's Trending today. If you think a story is worth sharing, do tag us using the hashtag #STBigStory. Back to you, Haryanto.
All right, thank you, Dylan. Now, those were the top stories for the day. For more news and videos, do head on to our website at straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Haryanto. Thanks for watching The Big Story. We will see you tomorrow.